Welcome, everyone, to English Talk Podcast. We're the place where we dig into interesting topics, sort through all the noise, and hopefully bring you some clear, useful insights.
That's the plan.
And today, we are doing a deep dive into something that's, well, it's literally on our plates, isn't it? It affects our health, maybe even the planet. We're talking about becoming vegetarian in a journey, and crucially, the reasons why.
It's definitely a topic lots of people are curious about.
Exactly. It feels like, you hear about it more and more. Maybe a friend's trying it, or someone in the family, or maybe you've even wondered about it yourself.
Sure.
It's more than just food choices, though. It feels like there's some deep motivations there.
Yeah.
So today, we want to explore what really drives people to make this shift. We'll unpack some common ideas, maybe myths about it, too.
Yeah, bust a few myths, perhaps.
And look at the benefits people actually report. The goal is really just to give you a good, solid overview of this lifestyle change, something easy to understand. And who knows, maybe you'll find a little bit of inspiration along the way.
Could happen.
Okay, let's unpack this. So changing your diet like that, going vegetarian, it's a pretty significant thing, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. It's not a small tweak for most people.
Right. I've seen friends make the change, and honestly, my first question is always, what happened? Like, what was the moment, the catalyst? What really pushed that decision?
Yeah, that's the key question, isn't it? And what we see consistently is that it's rarely just one single thing. It's almost always a combination, a mix of really personal reasons and maybe bigger, broader concerns.
Okay.
So for a lot of people, it genuinely does start with health. You hear people talk about feeling, sluggish, just not having much energy.
I've heard that.
Or maybe they go for a checkup and the doctor mentions, hey, your cholesterol is creeping up, things like that. They're often quite clear signals from your own body, really. Like, maybe what I'm eating isn't quite working for me anymore.
Right, a wake-up call.
Exactly. But then there's this other layer, which is often just as powerful, sometimes more so, and that's the environmental and ethical side of things.
Yeah.
People become more aware of the impact of, animal agriculture, raising livestock for food, its connection to climate impact, for instance.
Yeah, you hear more about that now.
Definitely. And sometimes there's a specific trigger, like watching a documentary. That can be a really powerful catalyst. Suddenly, issues like factory farming or the ethics of how animals are treated, they become very real, very immediate.
Wow, yeah. A documentary can really hit hard.
It can. So what's fascinating here is it's often a bit of both. You've got the personal health angle, and then you've got these wider concerns. And when those two things come together, that seems to create a really strong, lasting commitment. It's not just a quick health fix or a temporary ethical stance. It's the combination.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's not just jumping on a bandwagon. It's this deeper combined motivation, personal health, and this bigger picture responsibility. That sounds like a solid foundation.
It often is.
So what does this all mean for someone considering a change? Or even someone just listening and curious? Because let's face it, there are a lot of stereotypes, maybe, misconceptions.
Oh, for sure. There are definitely some common ideas floating around.
Yeah, like when you first think vegetarian, what pops into your head? For many, it's probably, endless plates of lettuce.
Yeah, the sad salad image.
Right. Or maybe just plain tofu. And this feeling that it must be so restrictive, like you're giving up everything delicious and just suffering through meals.
The deprivation idea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Because what people actually experience seems to be quite different.
It really is. That salad and tofu stereotype, honestly, it couldn't be further from the reality for most people.
Yeah.
The world of vegetarian eating or, a broader plant-based diet, it's incredibly diverse.
Diverse how?
Well, people often discover this huge range of foods they maybe didn't eat much before. Think about hearty beans, lentils. They can be the base for so many amazing dishes, different kinds of grains like quinoa, farro, barley. Okay.
A whole rainbow of vegetables cooked in interesting ways. And then you have things like really satisfying veggie burgers these days, or comforting lentil soups, curries. The list just goes on. The idea that it's restrictive, it tends to just melt away once you actually start exploring.
So it's more about discovering new things than just cutting out old ones.
Precisely. And yes, maybe initially you think you'll miss certain, meaty textures or savory tastes. But what's interesting is how taste buds adjust.
Adjust how? Do things start tasting different?
Kind of, yeah. It's less about missing the old things and more about appreciating new flavors. Your palate can actually expand. You start noticing subtle tastes in vegetables or spices that maybe got overpowered before. It's almost like a culinary reawakening for some people.
Interesting.
Plus, let's be real, the market has changed dramatically. The meat alternatives available now, some of them are pretty close in taste and texture.
I've heard that. Like burgers and sausages? Exactly. Those can make the transition feel much smoother for people who are used to those kinds of meals. So it really becomes about adding variety and finding new favorites, not feeling deprived. It's genuinely about exploring a wider plant-based diet.
That point about taste buds expanding, not just adjusting, that's really fascinating. But I do still wonder about those, deep cravings, like the idea of never having a juicy steak again.
Mm.
That feels like a huge hurdle for some people.
Yeah, I get that. It sounds like a big sacrifice.
Does that craving, really go away? Or do people just get good at finding substitutes?
From what people report, it's often not as much as I thought I would.
Really?
Yeah, honestly. Maybe there's an initial thought or a memory, but the positive feelings people start experiencing often outweigh that specific craving. You might think you'll desperately miss that steak, but then you discover, I don't know, an amazing grilled portobello mushroom cap seasoned just right, or a really hearty, flavorful black bean burger. And it just hits those same satisfying notes, maybe differently, but just as enjoyable. It becomes less about giving up something and more about finding genuinely exciting new things you actually prefer.
Finding new favorites. I like that framing.
Hmm.
And speaking of positive feelings, it's clearly not just about what you stop eating. What are the actual tangible benefits people say they experience?
Yeah.
Because that must be a big motivator, too.
Oh, absolutely. That's often what keeps people going or reinforces their decision. The personal feedback loop, if you will.
Right. So what kind of things?
Well, consistently, people mention having more energy, feeling less sluggish, like we talked about earlier.
Okay. More energy. That's a big one.
Huge. Also, clearer skin is something that comes up surprisingly often.
Interesting. Didn't expect that one.
Yeah. And many people do find they lose a bit of weight, often without really trying, just as a side effect of eating more whole plant-based foods. Yeah. So if we connect this to the bigger picture, these aren't just small, separate things. They add up to this overall feeling of improved well-being, more vitality. It's quite profound for many. It's not just about numbers on a scale. It's about feeling genuinely better day to day.
Wow. Yeah. More energy, clearer skin, maybe some weight loss. Those are pretty compelling personal reasons on top of any ethical or environmental ones.
Definitely. They make the change feel very worthwhile on a personal level.
But, we should probably acknowledge going full vegetarian or even fully plant-based, it's not for everyone. And that has to be okay, right?
Absolutely, 100%. It's a significant commitment, and for various reasons, lifestyle, culture, personal preference, access to food, it might not feel right or achievable for everybody. That's totally valid.
So for someone listening who thinks, okay, maybe not all the way, but I'm curious, what then? Does it have to be all or nothing?
Not at all. That's such a crucial point. It absolutely doesn't have to be an all or nothing game. What's really important to grasp is that even cutting back a little can make a big difference.
A big difference.
Both for your own health and for the environment. You don't need the label of vegetarian or vegan to make positive changes. Seriously, small steps matter more than people think.
Okay, so what kind of small steps are we talking about? This raises an important question. What are some simple ways to explore this?
Well, a really popular and effective one is the whole meatless Mondays idea.
Ah, yeah, I've heard of that.
It's such a great start. Just commit to skipping meat one day a week. It's low pressure. It encourages you to try 1 or 2 new recipes, find a vegetarian dish you enjoy at a restaurant. It just gets you dipping your toe in the water.
Yeah, that sounds manageable.
Totally. And from there, maybe it becomes 2 days, or maybe you start thinking about switching out mince for lentils and bolognese sometimes. There's also the term flexitarian.
Flexitarian, what's that exactly?
It basically describes someone who eats a mostly vegetarian diet but still includes meat or fish occasionally. It's becoming really common. It acknowledges that reduction itself has value. It's about being more conscious and intentional rather than sticking to rigid rules.
Right. So progress, not perfection.
Exactly. Every little bit helps.
Okay, that's a really encouraging way to look at it, that those small steps genuinely add up. So reflecting on our deep dive today, it feels like we've seen that the choice to go vegetarian or even just eat less meat, it often comes from this really interesting mix, doesn't it?
That blend of personal health and wider concerns.
Yeah, health goals, environmental awareness, ethical thoughts. And we've sort of busted that myth of it being boring or restrictive.
Hmm.
Turns out there's this whole world of flavorful food, beans, grains, veggies, all those
A
alternatives.
whole lot of variety, yeah.
And the personal benefits people talk about, more energy, better skin, maybe losing a bit of weight, those are pretty powerful motivators too.
There really are. Tangible results make a difference.
And maybe the biggest takeaway for me is what you just said. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. Those small changes count.
They absolutely do. And maybe that leads to a good thought for everyone listening to consider. Beyond just the immediate benefits we've discussed, think about the power of those small, intentional choices.
Okay. As you reflect on maybe your own food habits, perhaps just consider, what's one small step you could explore? Could it be as simple as trying one new plant-based recipe this week? Or maybe giving Meatless Monday a go, just once.
Mm.
Because sometimes making a conscious choice in one area, like what you eat, can have this ripple effect. It can open up new ways of thinking, new perspectives, maybe even lead to other positive changes in your life you hadn't expected. It's just about starting somewhere.
That's a fantastic thought to leave us with. Thinking about how one small, intentional step can ripple outwards. Thank you so much for sharing all that insight today.
My pleasure. It was a great discussion.
And a big thank you to you for joining us on this deep dive here at English Talk Podcast. We really hope you found it useful, maybe even a little inspiring. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one.